Let me tell you a little bit more about me. I have the greatest job in the world. I get to work with the next generation of professionals that will basically be taking our places and providing good quality services to persons with disabilities. It's a great job, love my job, and one of the things I love about my job is I have a whole month off for Christmas, okay? And so for the last 36 years, I go up to Colorado and work for a ski resort. And I'm a maintenance man at the ski resort. I'm Dr. Bill down in the maintenance department, okay? And what I do is, my job is driving the trash truck around camp. And the place I work is Snow Mountain Ranch. It's owned by YMCA of the Rockies. They have 5,000 acres and can hold 2,000 guests, okay? They are a large operation. They have approximately, at least on my side, or on the Snow Mountain Ranch facility, they have about 200 cabins, as well as 4 or 5 different lodges. Let's see. No, I take that back. 8 large lodges. So my job is to drive around camp with a trash truck and pick up the trash bags. And also my job is to respond to code browns. Not code blues, but code browns. Folks, you would be really surprised what people try to stuff down a commode, okay? All right. So anyway, what I wanted to do was, so not only do I respond to code browns, but I also respond to guests who are having problems with their rooms. And my favorite tool, well, I brought my toolbox. And I wanted to show you my favorite tool. Duct tape.
Is that Gorilla tape?
No, well, you know, Gorilla, I have a roll of Gorilla tape at home, but duct tape. It is amazing what you can do with duct tape. You can, when the thermostat falls off the wall, you can use duct tape to put it back on. When there's a leak in the sewer pipe, you know, under the bathroom sink, you can use duct tape to wrap it to keep it from leaking. You can use duct tape to stick wall switches back on. Amazing tool, duct tape, okay? In fact, this amazing tool of duct tape is how I got fired. You see, not only I go up and I volunteer and I work in maintenance and I'm the trash guy and I drive around in maintenance and I've been doing it for a long time. So about 4 years ago, the superintendent of building and grounds came in and said, get Weber on the walkie-talkie, get him up to the office. So I went in and I said, oh man, this is it. He said, Weber, I've got a few days I have to take. I have to burn off or burn up a few days or I lose them at Snow Mountain Ranch. You know, so I'm going to be off for a couple of days and I need somebody to be in charge. So you are now superintendent of buildings and grounds. And I said, oh, that's great. What do I do? He said, what you do is you sit in this office, you drink coffee, and you answer the phone from time to time. And I said, it's 20 degrees outside. I think I can handle that. Now, he said, I need to give you some counseling skills. I said, oh, I don't need that. I teach in a graduate rehabilitation counseling program. He said, no, I need to teach you some counseling skills for the director of buildings and grounds. He said, when the phone calls, it's usually somebody with a problem on camp. And I want to tell you how to handle that. You need particular skills. And I said, okay, boss, how do I handle that? He said, I want you to tell them, I hate that when that happens. I absolutely hate that. And I said, well, what does that do, boss? He says, well, first of all, you're on the same side with them, okay? But you haven't made any commitments, okay? You haven't made any commitments, and you haven't said we look bad, okay? So it works every time. And I said, well, what if they call back, boss, in an hour or so, and they say, hey, it still hasn't been repaired? He said, no problem. Here's the second thing you say. I can't believe they haven't taken care of that yet. I am going to call the maintenance service dispatcher right now and have him put it on the list. I said, well, boss, how does that solve problems? Well, you're still not responsible. We're not responsible, and the dispatcher has to deal with it. And I said, oh, okay, no problem. So anyway, guys, the maintenance dispatcher or the boss took off. The first day went fine. I drank 8 cups of coffee, and I answered 2 calls. No problem. The second day got a little dicey. The boss, the big boss, the CEO, folks, of this facility, the CEO, YMCA of the Rockies, has a budget of about $60 million a year. It's a big operation. The CEO was bringing donors in, donors who give cabins, $300,000 cabins to the Y from across the country. These are donors from New York and all over. The CEO was bringing donors in to a brand new lodge that we had just opened. I think the budget for the lodge was about $15 million. Beautiful lodge, okay? And he was going to bring these donors in and have a reception for them and tell them about all the good things the Y did. And so we were busy like crazy trying to get this lodge ready for these big donors to come in. And one of the guys coming in the front door, the door was glass, and it was a special glass, and he hit the glass with one of the tables they were bringing in and knocked the glass out, okay? And so they call me and they say, what should we do? And I said, well, let's call Denver and get another piece of glass up here because the opening is tomorrow. They called Denver, and Denver said, oh, that glass comes from New York. It'll be at least a week or 10 days for that to come in. Weber, what do we do? Do you have any recommendations? I said, well, there's nothing on the list that the boss gave me. I have it. Cut out a piece of cardboard. Label it glass. Put it in the place. Duct tape it. Duct tape it around. And I said, it'll be fine. Oh my. The CEO stopped at the lodge, saw the cardboard glass, glass. Oh, he was furious. He came to the maintenance shop and he walked in, he said, I'm firing somebody. I'm firing somebody. I said, well, can't pick on me, I'm just a volunteer. So the point of my story, guys, is sometimes we use tools over and over and over and over again, and it's the same tool. It may be the strong vocational interest inventory. It may be the self-directed search. It may be some of the same tools we use, but it's not necessarily effective in helping the consumer to move forward or the client to move forward from the standpoint of coming up with a reasonable vocational objective, okay? So what I wanted to do, guys, was to talk to you a little bit about career indecision, a little bit of the history of career indecision, folks that have worked on that issue, and also to recommend or show you some tools to deal with that issue so you can identify where the problems are to try to help the person move forward. Okay? All right. Let's see. Okay. First of all, please be aware that the task of trying to find the right job is becoming, if you thought it was difficult when you and I were young, it is becoming much more difficult and much more complex today than ever before. Okay? What we have is major changes in the labor market. Man, there are careers like webmaster, like geographic information specialist, careers I've never heard of when you and I were starting out, okay? Lots and lots of changes from media, social media coordinator, social media manager, all sorts of new jobs being created, and major changes in the jobs that have already been in existence. So lots of changes from the standpoint of the job market. That's further complicated by the fact that growing number of career transitions for people having to make career changes in their lifetime. I think from the standpoint of the younger baby boomers, now let's see, that's not me. I think that's 1948 through 67. The younger baby boomers, at least according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average number of changes for some of those younger baby boomers between 18 and at least 48, about 12 jobs. How many jobs have you guys had? Just one? How many of you have had four? At least four. Yeah, 5? Oh yeah, lots and lots of jobs before you finally hang it up, right? Lots of jobs. Okay. Also, as I mentioned, the number and variety of career opportunities are much larger. Just in the area of rehabilitation counseling, forensic rehabilitation was not in our job options in 1971, 1972. That was not part of the career options that were available to us, just in the area of rehabilitation counseling. What we're finding is lots of opportunities growing where individuals, again, are faced with trying to make decisions about what is a good fit for me or what's the best for me. Now that's further complicated by an overwhelming amount of information, right? Your consumers, your customers can pull up the internet on their phone, they do a Google search, they can look at all sorts of information, not necessarily valid information, right? Okay, not necessarily valid. I have a colleague that teaches at Sam Houston in the career, let's see, it's criminal investigator area at Sam Houston State University. And he said, whenever the kids come in and they all expect, to drive Hummers and to do the crime scene investigation stuff, CSI investigation stuff that they see on TV, they don't know that they're going to spend most of a lot of their time doing dumpster diving, okay? So, anyway, overwhelming amount of information, not always valid. And the further big issue, guys, is you and I all know that by choosing occupations, what we do is it has significant impact as far as the lifestyles that individual will have, the friends that they have, even the avocational activities that they're going to be involved in. Okay? All right. From the standpoint of history and looking at career indecision, I want you guys to be aware that the early work of trying to figure out what career indecision is and how we can kind of try to identify it and how we can sort of help people move along, some of that early career indecision stuff, that work that was done was actually in the 60s and 70s, and it was primarily directed at college students. Late 1960s, late and early 1970s, right? All those college students. The boomers were in colleges, right? And they were dealing with two don'ts, okay? I don't know what I want to do. I'm busy trying to get my shit together. And, pardon me, and I don't want to go to Vietnam, right? So a lot of that early work was trying to help those folks that were sociology majors and English majors and history majors and psychology majors and all those folks, right? Yeah. All right. Okay. One of the early guys to try to address the issue of career indecision was a guy you've heard of before, okay? A guy by the name of John Holland, okay? And how many of you guys use something like maybe like the self-directed search? You bet. The RISIC codes, right? The RISIC, okay? Let me just, for those of you that are not, let me just talk a minute or two about John Holland. John was into what he called career typology, and what he was looking at is types of folks, okay? He said that basically folks had modal personal types, meaning I'm a realistic kind of guy. I'm into doing real stuff, okay? Or I'm into accounting. I like to make sure stuff is straight. I like to make sure everything is balanced, and hence I'm a sort of a conventional button-down accountant type person. So modal personal types. And he said that these folks were basically attracted to environments where people were like themselves, kind of like birds of a feather flock together. You know, I want to seek out people that see the world the same way I do, that have the same kinds of hobbies that I do, that have the same ways of looking at things as I do. And so the idea was that once you understood what your occupation or your modal personality was, then you would be attracted to particular kinds of occupational environments, okay? And he said that even in his early work, he said, you know, there are folks that you give them the self-directed search or one of my other instruments, he said, they're interested in everything. You know, they're all over the place, okay? Or they're really, really, really interested in realistic stuff, and yet also want to be a helping, feeling, kind of touching kind of person over here. And Holland said, where do you get environments that provide feedback for for those kinds of needs and those kinds of interests and those kinds of looking at the world? Because they're very different, right? Or what about a person that's into accounting and into the artistic side, where drama and theater and writing and creativity fits with the conventional person, right? Well, I guess you could get into creative accounting, huh? Okay, all right. So anyway, he said these folks are having some difficulties, okay? And I don't, and so what he did is he began doing some work on trying to figure out, what are some problems that could help these persons, or some ways of helping these persons sort of differentiate themselves, okay, to kind of make some progress toward coming up with a reasonable decision. All right. Okay. And he decided those difficulties were related to difficulties as far as personal and vocational identity. All right. And so what he did is he developed a tool called My Vocational Situation. And I'll let you guys take a look at it. Okay. My Vocational Situation. Go. Are there enough? We have enough? Okay. Very good. More? One more? Sure. Terry, would you hand those to those folks? Sure, thanks. So one tool, and this tool was basically developed by John Holland, was first of all, the tool has several scales, and the idea is to help the counselor by using this with the consumer or customer. It helps the counselor zero in on the particular problems that the individual might be having, okay? So that you can provide effective counseling just on those issues that are keeping this person from moving forward and making decisions. So the first one is vocational identity. That is clarity of goals, interests, and talents. And that's covered, you'll see just a little VI out to the side. Okay? And then the other area is occupational information. Which is items 19, and then barriers, which is question number 20. Now, guys, it's a quick instrument to quickly try to identify where the problems are. Okay, the reading level for the instrument is 9th grade level. And the instrument, the tool is fairly inexpensive. Okay? I want you guys to know that this issue of career indecision has been a problem for folks since the very beginning. The guy that came up with the first vocational counseling class back in 1933, a guy by the name of E.G. Williamson, talked about basically what he did in that class. He called it vocational guidance, and he provided a recipe for teachers to follow about, what you do is you do a lot of testing. Sounds familiar, huh? A lot of testing, lots of vocational tests. You put the information together. You synthesize it down where the customer or client can understand it, and then the client makes a rational decision. Except there are folks that won't make any decisions. Or there are folks that the decisions that they made are not wise decisions, okay? And that was in 1933. So this is not new, okay? This has been around a long time. Okay. The next guy to try to take a look at the issue of career indecision was a guy by the name of Ossipal. And he actually wrote the first textbook in the area of vocational psychology. And what he did is he developed an instrument called the Career Decision Scale. Because again, he was frustrated by the same thing. How do we help folks move forward from the standpoint of career decision making? This instrument is designed for persons from the ages of 14 to 23. It only takes about 10 minutes to administer and about 5 minutes to score. It's hand scored. Basically, the scales that are identified are, the first one is the certainty scale. How certain is this person of what they want to do? And then the indecision scale. What are problems that are causing this person to have indecision about what they want to do? Okay? All right, so let me let you take a look at that tool. Okay? Also, I have the technical manuals if you would like to look at the technical manuals. All right. Please, these are property of SFA, so if I could please get them back, okay, at the end. Do we have enough? Okay. Okay. So in essence, what he said is there are norms for high school students, college and adult women, and continuing education students. And you bet. And you'll see, again, the first two questions are related to how uncertain. And he recommended, guys, that this instrument be used like teaching for the test, meaning that you administer this to the consumer, you identify those areas, particularly on after two, where the problem areas are, so you can not waste time focusing on stuff that they're not presenting problems. You can focus right specifically on where the problem issues are, okay, to help that person move forward. Okay. Now, I'm always looking for free stuff, okay, that has good psychometrics to it. And Ossipal developed this instrument. There's a charge for this instrument. There isn't for the next one, okay? What happened was Ossipal wanted to collaborated with another person where they wanted to try to see if they could lay out where the difficulties were more specifically than just this instrument, okay? So did any of you bring your laptops? Oh, good, okay, because I'd like for you to take a look at this next one. All right? What I do is, you know how students in class will do emails and Facebook and stuff in class? Well, I always try to throw in some computer exercises where I can, no, we're going to do this, and we're not going to do Facebook, all right? All right. So if you would like to go, it's called the Career Decision Making Difficulties Questionnaire. And if you'll just go to CDDQ, V, C, B, is that it? See, see, yeah. There we go. Do you get there? Are you there? cddq.org. Are you there? And this nonprofit site is supported by Ohio State University and University of Jerusalem, I believe. Okay, are you there? Okay. And again, the whole idea for this particular tool, according to Asapal and his colleague, is to help people get off dead center and move forward from the standpoint of career decision making and career development. Helping the counselor and the client identify problems. One interesting thing about this questionnaire, you notice that all it asks is your gender, your age, and what country you live in. There's no other identifying information like your name or social security number or any of that stuff. Okay? Okay. Are you there? Is it working for you? Yes? Oh, good. Okay. Okay. The last person that I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that may have relevance for what we're trying to do and the customers we're trying to work with are a group of guys out at Florida State University. And they were approached by the state of Florida, who said, guys, we need some help. We want to set up a special program to work with single female heads of households that tend to be below the poverty line. So primarily moms who are on welfare, to see what we can do as far as helping those moms be able to go to work in jobs that are good fits for them. Okay? And we would like for you to develop a program that a career development program that would help them get there. Okay? So Reardon and Sampson see career development and career development a little bit differently. They see career development, folks, as basically a problem to be solved. They say that a mom who has 2 kids, who's worried about childcare, who's worried about transportation, hey, they got problems, and finding a job that fits within the daycare limitations, finding a job that fits within the transportation limitations, finding a job that's a good fit for them is just another problem to be solved, okay? And so so they developed a model called cognitive information processing. And their deal, or what they try to do, is to teach moms a very specific way of going at this career decision making and finding a job that's a good fit for her. Okay? But they said, from the standpoint of our process working, we have problems as far as moms who have a lot of indecision, and we particularly find that there is some dysfunctional career thinking that we need to help moms with, okay? And so it would appear that some of the issues that they dealt with these moms, many of our clients may be dealing with some of those same issues. And they said those issues are misconceptions about what jobs require or what a particular job is like, self-defeating assumptions, and self-defeating behavior that keeps them from being successful in going to work. And so what they did is they developed, using this approach, they developed, and I've only got about 7 minutes left, they developed an instrument called the Career Thoughts Inventory, a tool to try to identify some of that dysfunctional thinking and some of the issues that we talked about, the self-defeating assumptions and the self-defeating behavior. It takes about 7 to 15 minutes to administer, and again, it's hand-scored. And the idea is to help the counselor identify those specific issues so that they can use cognitive behavior therapy to help them work through those issues and deal with some of the thinking that's keeping them from being successful. So let me share that one with you. Okay. I have fewer of these than the others, so can I please get you guys to share? Okay, are we there? And the basic scales that they are using or were able to identify are, first of all, decision-making confusion, particularly negative emotions that impede engaging in the problem-solving process. Remember, it's a problem to be solved. Commitment anxiety, the inability to commit to a single choice after looking at an appropriate set of alternatives. Here are some options. We've limited them. Let's move forward and identify a choice. And then external conflict, the issues of pleasing others versus pleasing self. Okay? So the goal of all of these tools, guys, again, is to help identify those problems that keep us from being able to move forward from the standpoint of the customer or client making good career decisions, okay? And maybe we should do this first before, and it might help from the standpoint of the consumer being more receptive to some of the other instruments that we use in, again, trying to identify those interests and identifying aptitudes and values to sort of help them move forward. Okay. Let's see. I wanted to mention just one other guy. Now, he doesn't talk so much about career indecision as he does career maturity. And a guy by the name of Donald Super that's really big in vocational choice theory and vocational development. And he talks about career maturity. And they developed, and I have a copy of that scale to let you take a look at it. He says that basically what happens is these are dimensions, these are things that have to occur, particularly relevant to adolescents, as far as helping them to move forward from the standpoint of career planning. First of all, there has to be an orientation to making a choice, a choice toward what am I going to do in 5 years, or where am I going after I graduate from high school. I know how to do information and planning. I know how to gather information, valid information, and I know how to come up with a plan, develop a plan. There is some consistency in my vocational preferences, meaning I'm not all over the place. It's beginning to gel for me as far as what I really want to do. And basically what happens is crystallization, and from the standpoint of forming your self-concept, your vocational self-concept, and coming up with that choice, and then vocational independence. Our Learn and Earn program, an attempt to gain some vocational independence. And then finally, the wisdom of those preferences. I'm sorry, there is only a limited number of slots for NBA basketball players. You say you played intramural basketball. The wisdom, your choice of NBA basketball player is not realistic. How many want ads are there for an NBA basketball player in this newspaper? Do you see any? Well, okay, all right. Very good. Folks, I made it. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions? Sure, you bet. Somebody made some misspelled words on that PowerPoint. Yeah, but I'll have them fix that. That's right. I hate that when it happens. The maintenance dispatcher will take care of that, man. Very good, guys. Any other questions? Yes, sir, Terry. Sir? Super's work. Uh-oh, it's not on there. I am career maturity. Nope, but I can get it for you, Terry. Yeah. The maintenance dispatcher left it off. Yeah, duct tape. I forgot to duct tape it on.
Have they invited you back this year?
Yeah, can you believe that? Can you believe that? Oh, but I'm not director of buildings and grounds anymore. A truck driver, right? In fact, I was awarded the Volunteer of the Year. Yeah, last year for the entire camp. And that was even after our compacted Christmas. Did I tell you about that? Remember, we go around all the cabins and we pick up those plastic garbage bags. One of the families in one of the cabins put all of their kids' Christmas presents in a black trash bag out on the porch while the kids went to the ski area. So I come along, I pick up the trash, including those trash bags. And so I'm taking the trash down, and we put the trash in the compactor, and I push the button on the compactor, and just as the compactor goes all the way in, the director of buildings and grounds comes out screaming bloody murder. Stop, stop, stop. So I was known as the trash guy that compacted Christmas. I think it cost a Y about $300. And they still invited me back. I couldn't believe it. Okay. And folks, if any of you are at my age where you're doing volunteer work, the Y asked me to be sure and let you know they have open for volunteers. Would love for you to come up in September and October when it's quiet. They need volunteers. Free room and board. During Christmas holidays, I get free lift tickets and free skiing stuff and all that stuff. So let me know if any of you are interested in that. Very good. No questions? Thank you. Okay.
And do you want me to go ahead and pass on?
Sure, that'd be great if you would. Okay.
You want me to give them to you?
Yes, please, if I could. Okay, sir. Okay. Yes, I am. Okay. Guys, can I have these back? Thank you, Bob. Hmm?